On today's show, we're talking with McMillville Assistant Principal Veronica Chase, music by Nick C., and the Google Tip of the Week, and more. That's coming up next. EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to EduTech Guys Radio, brought to you by Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative and Hope Public Schools, both located in Hope, Arkansas. Good afternoon. I'm David Henderson.
Hey, and I'm Jeff Madlock.
Hope you guys are doing well. This is our post-Halloween show.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, we didn't have a pre-one.
We really didn't. We talked about doing a Halloween show.
We did.
It never actually panned out.
No.
Halloween was kind of a bummer. Most of my schools had their Halloween parties on Friday.
Yes, that's how it was.
Why would you do that to teachers? Because they came on Monday. It's Halloween. Those kids are just like, "Bah!"
Yes, that's right.
They've been pre-injecting themselves, with sugar to get ready for it.
They've been eating all the candy that the parents didn't steal.
Right, exactly. Someone I know had put that down. To mom inspection is after they go around. Says someone said, I need to make a Butterfinger shake on Wednesday, and I'm hoping that the kids do real well.
There you go. That's right, man.
Parents.
Hey,
listen, this is our show, EduTech Guys Radio. Catch us on the web at www.edutechguys.com. You can also catch us on Twitter, Facebook, Google. Just go to Google and put in EduTech Guys. You'll pretty much get us.
You'll find us there.
I pay a guy named Vinny to make sure that we're always,
Is he your cousin?
Today brings up Google. I got really mad at Google with a relay SMTP.
Oh, yeah.
And so I told Nate to pack the car up, get us some lunches. We were driving out there because I was going to have to go see somebody. No, if it wasn't for Google, I don't know what we do. They make my day. But yeah, go to Google, look up EduTech Guys. You'll find us. We're on everything.
Oh, so did you get it figured out?
We did.
Oh, yes, there you go.
We did. And it was our fault the whole time. It wasn't Google's. Every time I want to blame Google for something, then it's always my fault. And that's when they behind the door there in our server room, we have a Google and us, and they've got like points.
We've got like you've
nothing.
Got none.
Yeah, they always win.
You're not going to win against Google.
I'm not going to win. That's the way it's going to go with
Just
Google.
Give it up, man.
Yeah. Why didn't you tell me that early on?
I prefer that you learn life lessons through experience.
See, that's the best way.
Exactly.
You are right. That is.
If I just handed you everything, then you'd come to depend on me, and you can't be doing that.
You make it sound like we cohabitate or something.
No, not even close.
Not even close. Cool. So tell us about today. What's going on
today? As I mentioned before, we've got from McMillville, Oregon, Assistant Principal Veronica Chase. And she'll be on here in just a minute to talk about some of the cool things that they're doing with technology and integration up there in Oregon. And, of course, music from Nick C., one of our favorite artists on here. Speaking of, if you are an independent musician and you'd like us to feature your music, reach out to us. Hit us up on Twitter at EduTechGuys or go to edutechguys.com, fill out the form at the bottom of the first page, and let us know. We'd love to feature your independent music here on EduTech Guys. And then, of course, we've got the Google Tip of the Week. I got that in early because there's no telling by the time we get there what things are going to be like the way things are going today.
That's true. Google had a lot of great stuff come out this last week on their blog. I keep up with it.
Yeah, man.
That's kind of my responsibility, except the times I don't take care of it. And then you take care of it. So that works out really well also.
We take turns taking care of it.
I'm looking at, there's actually like 3 Google Tips of the Week today. So
wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But we'll get to that down the road.
We had a little bit of noodles and some gravy. We like the beef tips.
That's cute.
Anyway, I have no idea. This train has completely
run off the rails.
So
take us to the next place.
Let's do this.
What's our next stop? Conductor David.
That's right. Our next stop is Oregon. And our special guest, we're going to bring her in, let her introduce herself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the meat of the discussion. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I am Veronica Chase, an assistant principal at McMinnville High School, McMinnville, Oregon, not McMinnville, Tennessee. And this is my first year in this role, and I do get to oversee technology and media, among other things. And I'm coming from last year when I was in a role as a technology teacher on special assignment, tasked with integrating all the new technology that we've received and making a shift to the Google Apps for Education district.
Hey, that's an
Oh,
awesome shift. That I bet that was real exciting. I mean, because to get into administration coming from that area and then know what you want for the entire school to embrace.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It was a good year of doing that, good insight from that.
That's awesome.
that is very
So
cool.
so tell us what's the big stuff now? We're into November. It's November 2nd. So you're in your new job. So what were your presidential decrees as you came in the office? What was the first big thing you wanted to change that you knew would help make the other small impact changes happen?
Well, the cool thing is, I am an administrator in the same school that I was able to be the technology TOSA. And so there were no great big changes that we made. And I've been in this district. This is my 11th year in the district. And they have such a solid foundation in instructional practices that we haven't had to make big jumps. But one big jump that we did make last year when I stepped in that role, we went from having a few hundred devices to this year we have 1,500 devices.
Wow.
And a lot of that was from the way we designed our professional development around technology. So teachers said, I want to learn about Google Docs. So instead of, we have staff development every Wednesday where half the staff come and are trained on a particular topic. So instead of saying our topic today is going to be on Google Documents, we said we are going to continue to learn about these research-based strategies, and we're going to use technology as the vehicle to deepen our understanding of those strategies.
Yes.
And so every week, well, the first time we would share our thoughts on a shared document, and everyone in the same one. And you know what that looks like in a room full of people who have never shared a document.
Yes.
So we took baby steps in that way. And so this year it's just been another baby step forward. And I'm really excited about what we're doing this year. And we have moved from learning about those things within four walls on bullet points to lab classes. So we have a variety of different topics, but one of them is a technology lab. And so there's a teacher who experiments on our behalf with all sorts of different things. And teachers go and they watch and they sit with students and they ask questions. And then they meet afterwards to discuss how'd that go? How do I do that? How do I learn more about this? It's really, really rich. And so when we had the few hundred devices, there were people who wanted the stuff, but now they want the stuff because they know why they want it. Like, I want to be able to do this, X, Y, Z, so that I can take students to this level.
That is phenomenal. And that, I will tell you, that is the piece that most places miss. I mean, it really is.
I agree.
You know, there are a lot of districts who throw the 1,500 devices out into the wild and say, here, you can do great things with this, but then they don't show them what those great things are, and they end up as, weird little mini boat anchors or something. And so,
it's really the chicken or the egg, right? I mean, you can't do cool things with technology if you don't have the technology, but if you have it and you don't know what to do with it. So, I think we just happen to hit that perfect balance with who we had and the technology we had. We got a new IT director in our district a year and a half ago, I think, and he really removed barriers and said, hey, this is where we're going, and has supported that push. So things all aligned to make that happen just right.
Yeah, that is awesome.
That's really awesome. I think that's the really interesting thing is you said baby steps a lot. And so it sounds to me like you designed your PD, your workshopping, your professional development to be nice little morsels that would build on each other. Is that
Absolutely.
pretty much what happened with you guys?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm spoiled because we have this solid foundation of instruction, a common language around instruction here. So adding tech has just been really rich.
That's awesome.
Well, and then you also said that during these trainings you have the students in there, or that was during the labs.
Yeah, that's during the lab class. So we have a handful of teachers who go in each period on Wednesday, and the teacher's just teaching. But he said, yes, come in, sit with students, and watch how they do what they do. Watch it come to life in real time.
That's very cool. So I'm assuming you have students who take charge and who end up teaching the teachers how to do some of the things that are happening with that technology.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, teaching with technology is such a two-way street, which is really exciting because we honor the expertise that students bring, and we know that they have a lot.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Major platform Google, major hardware Google.
Chromebooks, yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers use Chromebooks also, or are they using another PC?
We're pretty split on that right now. Still, we're still in PC world for most teachers across the district and here at the high school.
Yeah. Do you think the teachers that have removed the Chromebooks are that's the problem we've had with some schools is that their infrastructure for administration Chromebooks aren't powerful enough to do everything they need them to do yet. Will yours be able to handle that when you guys make the move, possibly?
I think so, but again, there are a few other systems that we're waiting to be Chrome compatible,
Right.
and so those are outside agencies. So until we're able to get those Chrome to work on Chrome, we can't make the full switch. And when you're living between two worlds, it's hard to jump all in.
Yeah,
so
that's what we find for teachers. It's really hard for them when they're using two different platforms, especially those newbies that are trying to make the jump. But then it's like, wait, do I, control C? What do I do? I'm confused.
Right.
Where am I at here? Yeah.
Well, I noticed.
Really,
go ahead.
I was just going to say it's really two different languages. I mean, it's almost like our students who are speaking two different languages, just code switching between the two.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say earlier when I had gone out and taken a look at your school's website, trying to get a little bit of just general information, and I noticed that you guys are using eSchool, and I know, and here in Arkansas we use eSchool, and that's for our listeners when we're talking about platforms that are not necessarily ready for Chrome. That's at least in Arkansas, that's one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's the same way there. And certain pieces are very basically device and browser agnostic. However, there are other pieces that if you're not running this particular version of Internet Explorer, you're not doing anything. So yeah.
Okay. That's you're reading my mind. That's the one.
Okay, so let's
you won't say it, I'll say it.
let's jump to the student experience. So do you have the ability to get into Google Admin? So are you seeing the analytics of student usage, or is that from the IT department?
No, that is from the IT department. They don't give me all access. I've asked, but not yet.
Well, the reason I
don't get that master key.
Yeah,
that's right.
The reason I was asking is from what you've seen, the embrace by the students, 100% plus. Tell me how they're using it. Do you find them? Are they true millennials? Are they true kids that are using pure digital, or do they still? What's your experience now with the students' take on this whole thing?
This is a really timely conversation. So I would say in some ways, they're so savvy. They know how to use the different social media platforms that they're familiar with. Our students who are now freshmen have been used to having one-to-one devices since they were in third grade. So they're really familiar with using Classroom and doing certain things on that Google with the Google documents and whatnot. But our math department just adopted an all digital curriculum. So, and there are a lot of students who are like, no, I really prefer to do this paper pencil.
Yeah.
And so there's some things that they get like, oh yeah, this belongs digital. This would be easier for me digital, but there's a lot more pushback because it hasn't been a typical route.
Yeah.
It's funny. We were having this same conversation today about analog and digital world, and in my department, and I was telling my guys about inventory. And inventory has to stay kind of analog. We still have to touch things. You still have to do that. And math kind of falls under that too. It's a lot like science too. I mean, some things are probably going to always stay analog because we like analog, and analog gives you that little bit more creative until Chrome, which by the way, Google came out with some new Chrome today, but that's another story. But but what's really cool about that is when we get to the point where the pencil really does work on the screen the way it works on paper, and I think that's coming in our lifetime, especially the students. The students will see it. Yeah. But I agree with you. So it's funny that's what you guys have run into there. Besides that, would you say that that the kids embrace? So do you guys do a lot of emailing stuff between kids and students, or do they use shared documents and they like the idea of sharing stuff and putting it in folders? Is that how they turn it in?
There's a lot more of the shared documents than emailing at this point. And I think that students forget. I think that's the next step for students here, is reminding them that these applications can help you beyond just in the classroom. I'm trying to get this group that I work with to, if they have a phone, make sure that you have this calendar app, because it will buzz at you. It will tell you. You won't be able to forget.
Right.
And so using those applications outside of that, I think that's the next layer for them. But yeah, the email, they'll forget about that, or I'll send a group an email and it won't be checked. It's not part of their natural everyday life to check at least the school one. They're checking social media and whatnot. But
now, see, if
that's where you need to reach them. I mean, that's
that's
really,
it. Well, if a teacher
ultimately it's what it ends up.
If they'll take a selfie and attach it to it, the kids will get on that. So let's see what the teacher posted today. Oh, I got to. Bronzy got to turn in my homework. That's.
but I have talked with schools that have been facing similar issues, and so they try to incorporate other platforms. That an example would be something like Schoology or Edmodo, where it's a little more quote unquote social in terms of what it does and how it's laid out, and that's how they have really kind of broken that email barrier. Because you're right, students, they don't check their email. That's not a part of their world. That's not, that to them is, I mean, they might as well be dialing rotary phones. I mean, they just don't see email as a part of what they normally use. So things like being able to handle or hold certain conversations through like Google Classroom, or if a school is open to it, Facebook groups, those kinds of things. But I can definitely see where email is definitely a generation gap kind of thing.
Sure. Do you do a lot of your teachers embrace Google Classroom?
Oh, so many. Yeah, and I think part of that is going back to how we did our staff development model last year. Is every teacher who's a part of staff development, they were we had a classroom for our staff.
Yeah.
And so we got familiar with what it meant to be a student and a teacher in a classroom, and then seeing the ease of how it would make folders for you. And I mean, all the benefits of it. So we have, I actually don't know the percentage, but a large percentage of our teachers using Google Classroom.
That's awesome.
That is
that
awesome.
will help move the students into relying on it a little bit more, because that's always active. So along that lines, you were talking about students with their phones. How do you guys embrace BYOD in the classroom along with the technology you provide?
We're not there yet. Again, that's one of our next steps, and where we want to go. We're playing with our open wireless. It's not there yet. So we have a few upgrades to make, and I'm hoping that happens here in the next year or so.
Yeah, and that's a big step that I was just discussing it with another school district, and enterprise wireless, that's a big deal. Most people don't realize what the magic of the Wi-Fi causes, but that's a really big one. And I once you get to that point and embrace it, I think you'll see a big increase there also, because once they're using their devices and they realize, like, whoa, I can do this here with the school machine, and I can do this with my machine. And,
right.
I think you'll probably find that you'll love that. So Google Forms, have your teachers played with or embraced the new ability to do quizzes and things like that in it? Do you know if they?
Yes, that's been really exciting for all of us. We're finding, it seems like there are new ways we're finding to use it every week. Like, oh, we're planning this staff event. Hey, Google Forms, all the way from, just easy stuff like that to safety quizzes in our woodworking class and in fabrication. So, because then, it just gives that immediate feedback loop, which gets kids to the outcome that we want quicker, which is ideal. So it's very exciting.
It's interesting with Google Forms now. Last week we were talking about G Suite, and the fact that now inside Google Forms, you can actually let the people filling out the form upload pictures and documents. I don't know if you knew about that one, but that's
this is the part I haven't played with all the new stuff, but I see it happening, and it's really exciting.
That one really impresses us. I've always been impressed by forms because I get that spreadsheet, and if I build my formulas correctly, I can have one massive spreadsheet pulling in multiple forms and getting that data that I need really bad.
Okay, let's talk after this because I haven't done.
Well, I'll send you to a link that we have. We did a Google tip of the week on that. I'll definitely share it. You'll love it. It's a lot of great forms and a lot of great formulas you can use. So they're really happening. Yeah.
Well, so kind of the extension, and you sort of skimmed across this a second ago. You talked about students, taking quizzes in the woodworking class, that kind of thing. I guess this is sort of two parts, I guess, in a way. The first thing that comes to my mind is in terms of computer science in general and students is how do I want to word this? Are your students does your curriculum provide students with avenues of computer science incorporation in fields other than quote unquote computer science and technology, i.e., students get exposed to some of the really cool things that have come about, like in wood shop. When I was in wood shop, it was the lathe and all that, but it was all, I mean, it wasn't manual, but I mean, it's still electric. But now, there's a lot of coding that can go into programming exactly where that blade's going to go, or exactly how deep that router's going to gouge, that type of thing. Are your students exposed to those types of things? And in relation to that, computer science curriculum in general, do you guys have a computer science program? I don't mean like software program, but I mean, curriculum that your students are taking part of that teaches them that side of it, the coding side, the programming side?
Yeah, so I was actually reflecting on this question as I listened to one of your recent podcasts about the need for coding in all different areas, and asking myself, okay, where could we incorporate this more often and in areas that you wouldn't necessarily anticipate?
Sure.
And again, these are next steps for us, but at our high school, we have 18 different career pathways. And the two that we find that coding and computer programming piece, we have a computer programming pathway, which is naturally there. So students are getting that progression of classes and heading toward being proficient and graduating on track and understanding the ability to code and program computers. And we have an engineering pathway. And so that's part of our engineering pathway as well. I think I'd love to see us to continue to add layers to coding as part of our education pathway and as part of our construction pathway, because that shows up in any field now, as you know. And so we're continuing, going back to baby steps, just layering in as we become less scared of new technology, but excited about the potential that we can, what we can do with it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that right there is a brilliant that was a brilliant nugget. I think that is one of the key things in terms of why certain schools or certain cultures within a school thrive on new technology, and why some just absolutely shrivel up and die away anytime. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said we need to figure out how to be less scared of it, or become less scared of it, by getting in there and working with it and seeing that, this is not big, bad, scary technology. This is, actually useful and helpful. And hey, look at all the cool things we can do with it. And I think that is a very key point. That was a very, you hit the nail on the head. That was great.
Thank you. And I think that what I hear a lot is, kids and millennials are so much better with using technology. And I don't know if it's that as much as they're just not scared to play around with it. And when we move into adulthood, it's the same with lots of different areas of learning. We just get a little bit more fearful of trying things out and failing at it, and is it going to explode?
Right.
Whereas kids are just like poking things and twisting knobs and just trying it out until they figure it out. And so that's been fun to learn from students in that way. And like, okay, I'm going to Google that question.
Right.
And
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm going to poke around until I find the right thing. So.
And that's the big thing, is there's so much that getting a plan together that's baby steps, that's manageable bites, is the hard part, because it's constantly changing. Just about the time we get to a point where we come up with a new plan to fix something, doggone it, if they hadn't already answered that with something else and I have to backtrack and fix it again.
Yeah.
So, but hey, that's the life of an educator. That's what happens.
Yeah, we have to lean into that discomfort, really. I mean, we know
Yeah.
that that's where we're headed, so
Yep.
lean in.
Yeah.
Hey, well,
exactly. Awesome.
I'm the timekeeper here, so I have to keep us on time here. Anything else? It's your elevator pitch time, so you've got 45 seconds that you want to share. Anything else with us and our listeners?
Okay, I would say our philosophy of technology is not to use tech for tech's sake, but to know what's your end goal. And we equate it to the use of any tool like a hammer. You would use the hammer for any variety of tasks, but not every task, because it can be destructive if you use it for every task. So, we're not going to, sometimes we will go analog, and our students, it'll be more appropriate for them to use a paper and pencil. So just knowing what that end goal is, what outcome we want for our students, and then go backwards from there and deciding the tool.
Excellent.
Perfect.
That is awesome. Well, thank you very much for filling in on such very short notice. That is awesome. By the way,
Thanks for allowing me to.
listeners, you can find Veronica out on Twitter at Vero_Chase. And you can follow her there on Twitter.
Yep, and catch her on the podcast on iTunes coming up later this evening, or Google Play, or just search EduTechGuys podcast.
Exactly. So again, thank you so much for coming by, and hopefully we'll get to catch up with you again.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you, Jeff and David.
All right, have a good one. Up next, music from Nick C. This is Completely Yours. There we go. Music from Nick C. We had a weird technical issue there, so if we dipped out, we apologize. But you should be able to catch the entire playback of the audio when we get it posted out to iTunes and Google Play. We appreciate Nathan, the good doc, for keeping us abreast as to what's going on out in the real world outside of our studios here.
Out in the real world.
Away from the studios here on Fifth Avenue, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, listen.
But
I'm going to interrupt you because I'll let you go. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, really.
I was just going to say, if you wanted to catch us,
that's what I was
live,
going to say.
You go ahead, take it from there.
We are so on the same page. Yeah, I was just going to say this weekend, Sunday. Well, I say this weekend. This coming Sunday, which is November. I don't know, whatever that is, 6th, 7th, 6th. Sunday, November 6th, and Monday, November 7th, we are going to be in Hot Springs at the Schools Without Walls conference. We'll probably kick things off on Sunday morning around 9:30-ish.
The keynote is at 9 o'clock. So,
right, so
be looking for us immediately after keynote. We'll have a booth. You won't miss it. Fireworks. We have a couple of live animals. It's going to be pretty. Oh, there's not going to be live animals.
No,
but,
it won't.
But you can catch us there sometime after the keynote. So 9:30, 9:45, we'll start broadcasting from SWOW.
That's right. So, and if you can't be there, then by all means, tune in, radio.edutechguys.com, and we'll be broadcasting live. And on Monday, we're actually going to be leading a professional development breakout session on incorporating podcasting in your project-based learning courses, classwork, something along those lines. Basically, it's podcasting in your PBL.
Yeah, how to get your PBL on the air.
There you go, PBL on the air. I knew Jeff had some kind of catchy, cool title for it.
So that'll be us, and we'll be doing our shtick, which you don't want to miss, because we're going to talk a lot about a lot of great projects you can do PBL that lend themselves well to being broadcast.
Yes, exactly.
And so you don't want to miss that if you're looking to broadcast. Also, hey, after that, November 30th through December 3rd, we'll be in Savannah, Georgia at AESA.
Yes.
Which is the
Association.
I threw it to him and I knew. Hey, catch this one.
Yeah. Association of Education Service Agencies.
Thank you, because I wouldn't have remembered that.
Yeah, you never do.
And I've only been there once.
Well,
and stayed for 3 days. But
and you would think that since we keep all of our show notes in Google Docs, that one of us would, I'm blaming myself here, would type in the full name of what it is. But we don't. We simply defer to each other. And there you go. And then after that, in January, we're going to be in Orlando, Florida at the FETC conference. And FETC is the Future of Education Technology, I think is what that's called.
Education
now.
of Technology Conference.
Yes.
Going to be a good one.
Looking
forward to that one.
January 24th through the 27th. And again, we'll be providing live conference coverage from there as well. So if you're going to FETC, you can hunt down the EduTech Guys table. And my understanding is we're going to be located in a pretty open commons area. So hopefully we'll be easily spotted, and you can come down, and anytime we're doing live conference coverage, grab a seat and share with us your experiences at that particular conference. We love to hear what you guys are learning and what you hope to learn and all that good stuff. And speaking of all of that goodness,
you know what time? Oh, what?
No, we are looking for sponsors. So if you're listening and you work for a company or an organization, and you like to help sponsor things like EduTech Guys, we would love to talk to you about sponsorship. Get your name on the air. We'll have we actually have digital media that we rotate through, and you get your logo up there in front of all of the presenters and participants. So reach out to us again on Twitter at EduTechGuys, or go to edutechguys.com and scroll to the bottom page. It is edutechguys.com. I said it a little fast the first time. I was excited because you know what's coming up now.
What time is it, David?
It's time for... Sorry, I got into my Russell mode. Google Tip of the Week.
You've been watching way too much baseball, mister.
Yes, I have. Go try.
Go Cubbies. Just because he said go try. I think the Cubbies are rare. Hey, actually, I had a handful. First off, I want to give a big shout out to the good doc for throwing one that's great to me. This is an older document that's out there, but it's on TeachThought. So if you go to www.teachthought.com and do a search for 10 ways teacher planning should adjust to the Google generation. It's funny, this document came out February the 11th of 2014, and as you read through it, you will realize that it is just as important and just as significant right now as it was 2 years ago.
That's awesome.
So I highly recommend it. I want to give the good doc a shout out for throwing that one to me, which is one great Google tip. The next Google
And we'll
tip,
tweet that out.
we will tweet that out. We will tweet it out. The next thing that's really great is that a lot of stuff came out last week with, and we featured them here on the show, about achieving your goals with Google Suite. And that was the stuff about figuring out who owns what with action items and the stuff with Google Forms and all that kind of good stuff. That was really great. One that's, I think, a big one to me, and I think most of my gang would probably agree with, and this one came out just a bit ago, but it is the new one for us this week, and this is out for the tech admins out there. Helping users recover their password with recovery email addresses. So what happened was your domain can enable non-admin user password recovery. Now, non-admin user password recovery launched about a year ago, and as a default, it's off for any new domains that were already on.
Right.
So you would want to go under security settings for the organizational unit in the admin console that you're looking for and turn it on. And it's exactly what you think it is. I mean, if they forget their password, they can put in, just like they can for Google, a secondary email address. So if they have a personal email address or a phone, it will text or email so that you can password recovery. So that's my big Google tip of the week. I said I had multiples. Honestly, I'm still hung on the ones from last week. If you're not using Google Forms for quizzes and the ability now to upload information in it, a little more information on that is in-domain uploads. So unfortunately, you cannot create a Google form and put it out there in the wild for, say, parents, and then the parents upload a file to it. It doesn't work that way. It has to be inside domain. But that does mean your entire school district. So that does mean classroom. So if you have a great quiz and one of those quizzes is take a picture of something yellow or take a picture of something that starts with B, they can use their tablet or their Chromebook and they can take a picture of, the bulletin board and they can upload it inside the Google form, or all kinds of great stuff like that. So a few little caveats to that, but I think it's still some pretty handy stuff.
Well, and speaking of those caveats, though, I would venture that it won't be long before, especially like in Google Classroom, where originally Google Classroom was restricted to your own domain, and then enough people went, we got to be able to communicate with folks outside of our own domain inside the classroom, and so Google allows whitelisting, and that's a partnership. If you're not familiar with that, in a nutshell, basically you tell your system that xyz.org can log into your classroom, and xyz.org says that you can log into their classroom. You set up that relationship there, and you give permission for each side to play together. I believe that's ultimately where uploading attachments inside a form will go. I believe that eventually Google will allow whitelisting to pass through to the form. So that way, if you do have that relationship set up in your classroom with another school, for example, then students at that other school site could actually attach files to Google Forms. Now, that's still not going to let, joeblow.com upload files into your domain, but at least I believe it will eventually relax a little bit to where you could get some of that that type of collaboration, the easy collaboration. I mean, right now students could, you could do that through whitelisting. You could do it by setting up a classroom and they could just upload it directly without using the form. They stick it in the right folder.
Right.
But
this just makes it a piece of a form.
Exactly.
I think you'll see it really heavily because I'm sure a lot of business users of Google Suites, of G Suite, probably went, yeah, we want this because now our customers can use a form and then upload an inventory or a buy or a quote or something like that. So I'm sure you're right. It'll come out pretty soon.
Yeah, I can definitely see the caveats. I mean, if you have a form out there and it's got an open field that lets anybody attach any file, well, and I realize actually Google doesn't allow any file to be attached. There are certain file types that it will let you attach, but it does not take very much to fool a system into thinking that one type of file is being uploaded when it is actually a different file type. I mean, that's how a lot of computers get infected to start with. So I can see where Google, definitely has those restrictions on, at least for now. But yeah, I think that'll grow and mature as time goes on. So
Cool.
That's awesome tips, dude. Awesome.
Well, thank you. There were ones that I pulled up. We're gonna wrap up the show, and so play our little outro music. And there's a hint for you. I'm giving David the
Wow,
high
let's
sign.
edit that
We gotta come up with some signs for outro. Nah. Hey, it's been a great show. I want to thank Victoria Chase.
Don't use that symbol.
We want to thank Victoria Chase again for
Yes.
coming on, and we want to thank Amy Fast for letting us know about Victoria Chase. And we will get. Is it not Amy Fast?
Yes.
Okay, Amy
Veronica.
Veronica Chase. What
Yes.
did I say?
Victoria.
Did I say Victoria?
You did.
Did I call her Victoria? No, I called her Veronica.
Yeah.
I got the V's on my brain. Veronica Chase. Boy, that was stupid of me. Veronica Chase. Want to thank her for coming on the show, and thank Amy Fast for letting us know about her and catching her friend and colleague to come on the show with us.
That's right. Voluntold, as she said.
Voluntold.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you guys so much for listening. Except for the very end, I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you. Hope you tune in again next time. Again, this weekend we will be at the Schools Without Walls conference in Hot Springs. So be watching the Twitter feed for us to be tweeting out during that, about that, before that, after that, you name it. That's where we are going to be. I'm David Henderson.
Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
We're out of here.
You've been listening to EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.